Casey's is a premier garden center and gift shop located in Lawrenceburg, Indiana. Casey's offers a wide selection of plants, landscaping materials, home and garden decor, and gifts for every occasion. Casey's is committed to providing exceptional service, a unique shopping experience, and value to every customer. Stop in and see what makes Casey's so unique. Located at 21481 State Line Road, Lawrenceburg, Indiana, or call 812-537-3800. Let Casey's help you add beauty to your home. Welcome to Strong Dads. Hey, this is Merle Hutchinson, being joined by my partner, Kyle Crawford, bringing you another great show.
Hi, Merle. How are you?
Oh, man. Are we done with this series yet?
No, I'm excited. I think we got to
Yeah, you're excited because everything is just run off your shoulders, and I'm convicted by everything we've done.
Whoa. Time out there. I'm for sure convicted. It's been a good series so far. And hopefully today will be the same.
Yeah, so we are in our fourth show of our series, When Was the Last Time You Talked to ... And the ... is basically the hard conversation. Yep. The conversation that we as strong dads need to be able to have in our homes about different experiences, encounters that we have, as well as what our kids are going to have when they walk out the door, when they get into culture. And so we've talked to folks with addiction. Yeah. We've done homeless, which the homeless show is just blowing up. That's really cool. And I think that's because Ken Madden was our guest there, local guy who's very well known in the community. Our show last week with Jeff Dueller from LifeSpring Church was on tragedy. He lost his daughter in a car accident, 16-year-old daughter. And man, you talk about just a guy who's trying to figure out, or I shouldn't say is trying, he knows how to apply the knowledge of God in his healing. The Word of God. And so that show is incredible. So, but all of our shows have made me a little bit nervous to walk into. And today is no different. Yeah. Okay?
Yeah. Absolutely, baby.
Yeah, it's no different because, you never know how certain things are going to land, right? And so but that's part of the challenge that we have of having these shows. So today we would like to welcome a returning guest.
That's
right.
There's not many of them.
Two times.
No, you just can't get them back.
That's right.
Returning guest, Durran Alexander. Durran, how you doing?
Well, thank you very much for you guys inviting me to be on here. Excited, man. I love getting an opportunity to talk about it. Get a chance to get into this for sure.
Yeah, we are going to get into it more. And so our show today is When Was the Last Time You Talked ... somebody of a different race, right? And I think in particular, depending on the neighborhood you grow up in, this is or is not a big deal. If you grow up in a neighborhood where it's a mixed neighborhood of race and that, and maybe this is just almost a silly show to you, okay? But a lot of us don't grow up in those kind of mixed neighborhoods for varieties of reasons, right? Your culture that you're used to, where your parents located you when you were a kid. But for whatever reason, we don't, and you get comfortable. You know what? This is the type of neighborhood I've always been in, so this is where I'm comfortable. And the more I get comfortable, the more I get kind of stuck in my own way. I'm always reminded, especially around election time, and you're hearing about who votes for what candidate or who the candidate is, how different pockets of our country are so strong in one area or the other. And I'm like, man, where are these people from? I don't know anybody who talks like that or votes like that. And I'm like, no, they're here. Get out of your neighborhood. Get out of your neighborhood. So anyway, Durran, I want to thank you. We're going to have a good conversation. I know it's going to be good because of the thoughtfulness of what we're going to do with this. But Kyle, let's run some ads so we can get right into this.
I love it. Yep, Strong Dad. We would love to thank the Kramer's Beer House for coming alongside of us down on Route 128. Go see Mark. Let him know that Strong Dad sent you down there. Cool, really cool setting, great food. So yeah, for sure, go down there and check them out.
All right. Also like to thank Casey's Outdoor Solutions for sponsoring the Strong Dads podcast, along with just the community support that Casey's gives. So for any of your landscaping needs or even gifts, because they have an incredible gift shop there, go see Casey at Casey's Outdoor Solutions and let them help you out.
Good deal.
Okay, so
well, Merle, you have a confession to make here, a little story.
I always feel like I'm back in my Catholic upbringing, and I have to go to confessional.
Hey, you know what I mean? Right. That's right.
Every 2 weeks.
Right.
You know, but
that's right.
For me, one of the things I was thinking before we jump into this conversation, obviously Durran being a guest on our show, I think it is safe to say that none of us here should ever have to apologize for who we are, right? I would never expect you to apologize because you're African American, nor would I hope you would expect me to have to apologize for white. So I wanted to kind of start, at least for where I'm coming from, because I work in the inner city. I work for a predominantly black neighborhood, and we make runs on patients all the time. And just like before we hit the record button, was telling you that I don't get this opportunity a lot to have a one-on-one conversation with someone of a different race. In the sense of actually being an intimate conversation where when I'm at work, it's I'm there I'm there to do a job, right?
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
I just want to make that clear before you give your confession.
That's right.
Well,
that's right.
Yeah, then that's good, because I think we all have to bring in our own background and perspective. But Durran, I called you, and I said, "Hey, I want to run an idea by you for a show."
That's right.
And again, that's you never know how that's going to land. Like, is he going to look at me like I'm crazy or whatever?
That's right.
And I proposed this show, and right away you're like, "Man, this is stuff we need to do."
Yep.
All right. So you first off you embrace it, but then I wanted him to know who he was talking to. All right, and that's not a good thing.
Let me tell you something.
Let me tell you about my background. And I shared a story with him, and I'm going to share this story because it's my confession, so to speak, about more about ignorance rather than prejudice, more about just uncertainty and not being exposed enough. And so I shared a story to you or with you about a time that I went up to Clifton outside of Cincinnati, Ohio, for those of you not in the tri-state area. Went up to Clifton. There's a bike shop up there, okay, Campus Cyclery. And I was going to go check out, I don't know, buy a bike or do something up there, something I probably shouldn't be doing to begin with. And
going up here.
Yeah. And I park. It's a college campus. University of Cincinnati is right there, so parking is very difficult. Can't find a spot. Absolutely. I finally find a spot, and I'm quite a bit down the road from where the bike shop is. So I park, and I start to walk up the sidewalk. And as I walk up, there's a high school right there in the neighborhood, okay? And I hear they have the intercom system is also outside, and I hear this bell go off. I'm like, oh, whatever. And all of a sudden, the doors open, and there is a swarm of students coming right at me. Like I am in their way on their sidewalk.
Yep.
Now, I've been a school teacher all my life, so it's not like schools freak me out.
Sure.
Okay? But I look up, and it is a sea of black students, okay? If there was a white kid, I didn't see him.
Right.
There probably were, right? There probably were, but that's not where my eyes were.
Right. Didn't see that at all.
So all I saw were a bunch of black high schoolers, which high schoolers is one thing to be scared about, in my mind. The other thing is that these are black kids that I'm uncomfortable with. And so right away, Durran, I shared a story with you. They surrounded me. Not because they were trying to intimidate me or I wasn't like the reason to surround. They were just
walking.
They just walking away.
Yep.
Right.
And all of a sudden I am tensing up in the middle of hundreds. I mean, literally, I don't know how many kids, but it seemed like
every kid in the school was coming
right there. They were all
right
there.
Right.
They were surrounding me, and I was like, man, the first kid touches me, I'm going down big.
That's right.
Game on. Like I was so tense and I was nervous and anxious. And they just walked right by me. They just walked right by me.
You were invisible.
I was invisible. I was invisible. I wasn't nearly as important as I thought. I was like, oh, and I'm alive.
Right.
I'm good.
Right.
And I say that, we can laugh now, but I'm sharing with you the just discomfort, the uneasiness that I had because I had never experienced just that overwhelming sea of black kids.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I said to you, Durran, you deal with that all the time. You deal with that all the time.
Correct.
You walk through a white world all the time.
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah.
And definitely not to derail the story, but it's amazing the thought that if you really take a step back, that people don't realize that. You know what I mean? That like that is every day that was every day of my childhood.
Sure.
You know what I mean? We grew up in Northern Kentucky at Boone County High School in the early to mid 90s. You're talking about maybe 8 black kids in the whole entire school, and I was related to 4 of them. So, you know what I mean? So that's now obviously I was a kid, they were kids, but that's just, everywhere we go, right? Like, so even now, if I go to a restaurant and just want to go get something to eat, where the average person does not even think about it. You go, you sit down, get something to eat, whatever, waitress, nice, not, whatever. But that's a part of the experience in the existence for, just the average black person, at least obviously in this area.
Right.
So,
right.
Well, I have a question. Just and again, man, I hope this conversation continues. Just all putting. I mean, I just want to be upfront. Like, I'm. How often do you run into racism?
Yeah, it's a great question. I will say that it has been a while for what I would call just completely overt racism, and I'll say, fortunately and unfortunately, that we're past that point for a lot of people, not for everybody, but for a lot, and in general, because it is such an ugly topic. It's so, for most people, it just makes you uneasy. So you want to feel that, like, just because someone doesn't purposely, the minute you walk into the gas station, they don't say "get out of here" N-word, then because they don't approach you like that, which is awesome,
which is good,
which is great. Then people go, well, there's no racism anywhere, and you go, all right, I won't go that far. You know what I mean? So I'd say it's been. It probably was a couple years ago for me where I was at an event and I was there with my job and I've got a name badge on and everyone just like everyone else.
Sure.
And it was first thing in the morning. Now later on that afternoon to evening, they were going to have a career fair for those that were looking for jobs. Right? In the morning, though, this was all for executives and HR people and stuff like that. So one of the ladies that's heading up the event comes in. Now, once again, like I said, I've got my tie on and everything, in theory, looking like everyone else. Now as a black man, we do know there's probably only 2 or 3 other black people in the room, you know what I mean? But of about 100. But the lady walks up to me and comes up and asks, she's like, "Oh, so nice of you to be here. Like what job are you looking for? The career fair is later on." And I'm like, so out of everybody, you automatically think that I'm here for the career fair. I was like, so I appreciate how nice you are, but like, no, I'm here with the executives, and plus at the time I didn't even know when it was, and I'm like, matter of fact, that's not even till this afternoon. You know what I mean? Like, so it's one of those things that like in the one sense, when you've lived a life enough, you're like, you know what I mean? Was she just a little misguided? Possibly, you know what I mean? Like, but the fact that she would just want to come in and automatically assume that I was there for the career fair and looking for a job, as opposed to one that I was working at the time with the recruiting service, so I'm actually there trying to hire people. So it's been.
So I'm you're making me think about something here, and so correct me if my thinking's off. So I look at that more as a prejudice rather than a racist. And again, I want you to correct me if I'm wrong. So prejudice means, I could prejudge why I think you're here.
That's right.
Racist to me is more of an active, almost with ill intent. to try to put you in a certain place that is less than. You
Right.
know, in other words, to diminish you as a person versus just taking a look at something before I even exchange words. Like we prejudge all the time.
Yeah, exactly right. Exactly. Yeah, I know you were saying that, and we have to, and many times it can be, it can obviously be the right thing to do.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because obviously there are certain communities in certain areas that not even black people want to be at certain particular times of the day and night. But yeah, and so like with that in mind, man, it's probably been a while where I would say that was completely used to diminish. I'd have to think about that one for a second. Yeah,
or
like
to be hurtful or to diminish your character.
Right. Yeah, it's been a while since it's been. I guess I'd say that far. You know what I mean? Because off the top of my head, what I think of is just being a young man living in this area, and you know, just being a high school kid and trying to get dates. You know what I mean? Trying to go out, and you know, we already know us having kids, you know, and being young ourselves one time. Now Kyle just graduated a couple years ago, but you know what I mean, when you're going through, you know what I'm saying, right? You know what I mean? Like, but yeah, but you know, like that can be really tough, and to not only like, you know, does she like me? Well, they said this, and then all of a sudden, like, you know, to have all of that just completely squashed, which I had a couple times, you know what I mean, where they just said, you know, hey, my dad says that, you know, I can't date you. Okay, all right then. You know what I mean? Like, so, you know, so there's not a lot of times that people have had to go through that. You know what I mean? Where obviously, like I said, it's tough enough to be, you know, to get up enough courage to try to talk to a girl or, you know what I mean, whatever. And then, you know what I mean, just to have it automatically shot down. So,
So, I kind of want to strip things down just a little bit in the idea that all of us kind of need to get off of our high horse by thinking that we are not prejudiced. We all have a prejudice to us. The only one that was ever not prejudiced was Jesus Christ, and it was because he knew what was, right? He knew how things were, and he knew the heart of people, and so if he had a judgment, it was not a prejudgment, it was a judgment, right? Like, you know, he knew where you were before then. It wasn't a prejudgment wondering if. And so, and part of that is the idea of, as I talked a little bit before, we prejudge based off of, in large degree, off of survival.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, I have to learn about, like, is something going to hurt me? Is something going to help me? Or is it a neutral?
For sure.
Okay? And and as we get older, we can categorize those things more and more. Oh, no, that definitely, last time I was involved with that hurt.
That's right.
Or, you know what, this is something I'm attracted to. It helps me. Or most things are actually neutral.
Sure.
Yeah.
Most things, I can take it or leave it. It doesn't bother me. Okay?
Exactly right.
But it's part of that. We teach our kids that. We talked about before, like, you're not born racist.
Correct.
All right? But you are born with the ability to judge for the sake of survival.
Right.
Okay? But I think where we really go astray is when we base it off of past experiences or how we take the data in. Right?
Yeah.
Like, is it authentic and real?
Right.
Is it factual? Or is it just kind of, we drummed it up?
Yeah. And the one part I wanted to add to that too is that, you know, where I think that once again, where people get uncomfortable and they don't really want to admit it, it's almost like in our walk in general. Like, when you first come to the church, if you're really in there, like, you know, people are almost afraid to say, in the sense that they're sinners or admit to that. And you're like, you know what, at the end of the day, like no one's perfect. So like, so don't act like that's a bad part. Like, oh, you know, oh, you know, do it. Should I really go up and ask for prayer for this? Or do I talk like, hey, like, we're all sinners. So like, if you act like that, you're not actually, you're really out of balance. You know what I mean? Like, so there's some there. So like when we talk about the prejudgment and a form of prejudice and some people are trying to say, you know, well, it becomes more of a blame thing. Like, well, you know what I mean? Well, you know, our white people pray. Well, black people prejudice too. They did like, whoa, okay, let's let's slow down.
Right.
Yeah, to a certain degree, we all are.
Right.
Yeah, but like, let's really look at where did it come from?
Right.
You know what I mean? And then where are we really applying that, whether it be on real life experience or just basing it off of either something that we thought that we heard or we saw, unfortunately on TV or some other, other nonsense that's not really going to make sense. But when you fail to just recognize that you do have some, I think that that's going to be a part of the help. You know what I mean? Like, once again, if you actually acknowledge, like, yes, I'm a sinner. So once again, Jesus is the only one. Yes, you got to come at it like that, like, because if you don't, then once again, it's going to continue to be more combative and defensive because you don't want to appear a certain type of way, and there should be a like almost a calm the fact, like no, like I am, but this is what it looks like, and then we can try to build from there.
Yeah, here's my area of challenge, right?
Yes,
this is where I'm struggling, and
right.
I have a little list of things that I just kind of created in my own head of like, well, where did my prejudices come from, or my thoughts about how to look out in the world, and I like my actual experiences, my past experiences. So if I had a good experience somewhere personally, like I actually felt it or lived it, I have a little level of knowledge there.
Absolutely.
Like, okay, this is what happened to me. The past experiences of others. Like if I know people that have had this happen, it carries credibility.
Absolutely.
Okay.
That's right.
Which I think that's part of the you could almost look at that form of prejudice as almost there's backing behind it, right? I always think of police officers. Like, police officers have a certain form of prejudice because they have had certain experiences in the fire world. I know older homes.
Yes.
I can be inside that older house because it can burn a lot longer than the newer homes nowadays. That is a prejudice that I have. I know going into those older homes where I work, it's predominantly old homes. These houses were built. They're built to last, right? So I know going into that, I can stay in those houses a lot longer. And I think the same can be said about your experiences. They teach you things, and that, to me. And again, it's what you do with that, right?
Right.
But to me, your experiences, that form of prejudice, there is positive to that. I mean, again, what you do with it, and the way in which you express those prejudices, I think that's where we get in a little bit of trouble. But just that very idea, your experiences teach you things.
Yes.
And those are good, valuable things to hold on to.
Yeah. Right. Exactly right.
Yeah. Basing it on fact. Yeah. Right, like the real fact of research and science to really substantiate. I mean, it's not unusual for people to just throw, "Oh, I know these people are like this," or "I know," but to actually then look at the actual statistics. And this conversation could go all over the place, right? Like the amount of black crime on black crime, or white crime on black crime, or white on white, and all of these things. It's like, you know what? Well, I know it's bad. Well, this is I got to step outside of myself, and I maybe have to actually look at the facts.
That's right.
Look at the facts. It doesn't mean there aren't problems. It means what is the magnitude? Am I seeing it the right way? Like sometimes in Lynn and I's work, we sometimes come home at night and we go, everyone's divorcing. I swear, everyone's divorcing. And then we start talking a little bit, and we're like, well, no, not really. Everyone's divorcing. But everyone that comes in our office, that's what we do as marriage and family coaches, right? So we see a lot of divorce.
Exactly right. Well, and you already know, like, for all the guys out there being married guys, you will get in a very dangerous place when you speak in extremes. So like always, everyone, never, you know what I mean? Like, so, and it causes you, obviously, when it comes to training and instructing, someone, if you say, well, once again, this group of people, they're always like this, it's going to be damaging. Obviously, inside the marriage home, if you never take out the garbage, also I never take it out. Well, you know what I mean? Like it's
talking to my wife.
I'm just, you know what I mean? Like it starts to go to a certain. So like that. That's where people have to be careful when, whenever they see a situation or they come across something, right? To take, even if it is this experience. So hopefully you have had some, and we were talking about that before. If you've even had the opportunity to have the kind of conversation. You know what I mean? But when you just look at it on its face and you just go, okay, well, that's how all black people are. That's how all women are. You know what I mean? Like I said, you start that stuff up with your wife, And you say, well, every woman I know does the dishes. And she go, oh, every woman, right? Oh, well, you better go find that one, right? You know
and
what I mean?
every man I know has a flat face from where the skillet popped, right?
You know what I mean? So you can see that there comes some corollaries there. If you start trying to lump everything together, it gets dangerous.
That's a really good point.
This
next one you put here, Merle, I think is really really good. I mean, when you talk about your just the way in which we get messed up because we fall short, we're human, and we're flesh and blood, and we're sinful men. Man, when we miss sight of God's word, I can't tell you the number of times I've heard people say, "I don't see color." Mm-hmm. And man, I would question anybody who says that, because I think God sees color. Actually, I would be willing to bet a lot of money that God sees color. God doesn't judge that color, but I truly believe God sees color. He made us in His own image. Like, Durran, you were made in God's image. You are a black man. I'm a white man. I was made in God's image. Like,
That's right.
God still sees that color, right? I truly believe that God sees color.
Yeah.
Again, Jesus didn't say, "Oh, you're a black man, you X, Y, Z."
That's
right?
He doesn't judge color.
Exactly.
Yes,
But I truly do think God sees color.
Yeah.
I also think God's word, when you boil it down, and this is again us. Oftentimes when we get into these prejudice states, that we take Scripture only at the level that we want to take it.
Yeah.
We compartmentalize it so it fits our little neighborhood or culture or way of life. And when you start to really look at the words of Christ, so today I'm reading through John, and I've been on a big deal for some time about, I got to strip down all the religion in my head, and I got to read just the words of Christ, just the words of Christ. And I'm reading through John, and in a red letter Bible, right? And I'm just going through, and it's just like, I'm getting smacked in the head because he says things that make me go, oh man, I'm still a work in progress. I'm still a work in progress. Yeah. And so he talks about, the prejudice and how we deal with it, and to love all, and to even love your enemy, and all these things. And so God's word, if and as Christians, that is our truth.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So we have truth in science, and we have truth in God's word. And I've said in other shows, science and God's word never conflict. Right. We make them conflict, right? We make them conflict, but they don't. And God's word is so true, and it just completely denounces racism, right?
Yeah.
And in that way. So,
well, I wanted to add one point to what Kyle was saying. I think that for one, I love the point, completely outstanding, because through the years, and just coming and talking to so many people that I hear their heart, and I think that they're trying to say the right thing when they say, like, I don't see color. And so I do get what people are trying to say, but the realistic part is that, like, that I am a different color. Yeah. I really just don't want you to hate me because of it.
Right.
So I want you to see it and recognize, just like, that, obviously I'm a guy, that's a woman, that's, you know what I mean? Like, so I want you to recognize the difference, but don't automatically, ask or assume that this is, how I'm going to be, or how this person's going to act. And then, and I think we were talking before, Mara, like this, until you really get to know, like, also then don't automatically pass that on to your children, that this is how it's going to go. So, I actually want you to see me that way, because even once again, in this conversation, even on its face, like, I want you to come and ask a black guy so we can have a racial discussion. Yeah. Like, it would not make any sense just to have two of the same, even if we had like minds, and be like, well, this is how this is going to go. You're like, wait a minute, that's not, once again, I'll take it back that, if we were trying to, once again, pigeonhole all our wives into one particular thing, we all know how that tends to go.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned something about, what are we going to teach our kids, the next generation coming up. And I think this goes so much wider than just racism due to color, right? But we are in, I don't ever remember the word 5 years ago or beyond about identity politics, identity this, identity that. And all of a sudden in the last 5 years, everybody wants to identify as something. And so and that can be a little dangerous. And so all of a sudden, the next thing you know, I get so strongly attached to my identity, and I become so prideful of it, that anything that contradicts it, goes against it, right?
Yeah.
Sure.
And so the whole idea, like you see that we talked a little bit before about I am a Bengals fan. I almost said Steelers fan.
Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness!
Sorry.
Right, would have fell off the stool here.
So how do I identify? I'm a Bengals fan. I'm a Bengals fan, and so as soon as I see a Steelers fan, I'm not even talking to you. Because of my identity and my pride in it, I've already sold you short. Because if I identify as a white man. And identify you as strictly a black man, that doesn't mean I don't acknowledge black. But if I identify you as a black man and me as a white man, and I see that as opposing, like you're the other team. Sure. Now, that gets dangerous.
Yes, absolutely.
So I need a bigger identity rather than teams or culture. We all have I'm Irish.
Absolutely.
Or I'm Catholic. Or whatever it is. But we have to be really careful when that pride starts to narrow our view.
100%.
All right?
100%.
I mean, how about you're a human?
Yeah.
How about I'm a human?
Yeah.
Well, that also goes to, and you talked about this before, Merle. Like, if we jump to automatically, let's point out our differences, and then we'll get to celebrate diversity, right? That's a big movement in society. And Merle talked, he's talked about this before. Like, that's all well and good, but if we start right off, I'm a white man, you're a black man, right? If we, from the very get-go, it's going to be, not that it's impossible, but it's going to be difficult to mend what we do. We have a lot in common, right?
That's
We're
right.
both men.
That's
like
right.
we both love Jesus. Like
That's right.
we
That's
have
right.
a lot. Why don't we celebrate that first? Sure.
That's right. That's
the,
right.
The
That's
obvious,
right.
the obvious thing that I'm white and you're black.
Yes.
Like those are the obvious
Right,
things.
right.
We can get to those.
Right, right.
But man, it's so hard to start conversations with people when you start with what's different. Like let's
right.
start with what's the same, man.
That's
We
right.
have, we have so much
That's
in
right.
common.
That's right.
Not that it takes anything away from the fact that you're black and I'm white.
That's right.
It doesn't take anything away from that.
Right.
But like let's celebrate the things that we have in common, and then we'll get to the stuff that's different.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
Exactly right.
Well, so we've talked a lot about just the racism, where it comes from, the prejudice, right? But I think as part of our responsibility with this conversation is how do we help us and other people, other men, dads, how do we help them get outside of this? Okay, currently, the nation is not being bombarded on the news by race riots. Okay, currently. And I literally have to say that because about 4 months ago, it was all over the place, right? And so, we had a little conversation on our show then, but we were like, nah, everyone, let's just, we're too ignorant to say too much anyway. Let's just hold back on it. But now is a time when you have conversation because you have to, we always talk about the idea of if you're going to build something, you build it with a logical mind.
Yeah.
If you're emotionally charged, okay, if there was something hot on the press right now, it would automatically present a separation on opinion. Like, no, you don't know. But right now, it's calm water. Now's the time when you build. Yeah. Now's the time when you establish relationships.
Yes.
Because then when the storm does come again, which, by the way, it's coming again.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Then you go, you know what, no, Durran and I, we go way back. Listen, I know him. He knows me. We're not going to let that feed in our relationship. So let's talk a little bit about what are some conscious and intentional things that we need to do. And I want to start with the very first thing was providing a safe opportunity. Yeah. And I wanted to thank you because there was no tension or judgment in you when I called you and I proposed to you.
No.
I didn't get I need to think about this. Like that
told me that story up in Clifton.
Yeah, I know what kind of redneck you are, Merle, And so
where you got me driving out here too.
Yeah, driving to the country. That's never good.
That's right.
So the idea that you provided was acceptance and safety.
Yeah.
Neither one of us, and I hope that I express that to you, that I was not here to do any kind of tearing apart or drilling down. You were like, no, dude, let's go. Let's roll.
No.
I think that's a big part.
No. You know what I mean? I think that as we continue, and we'll get to the steps that, I still keep the corollary alive between, like between the races and between in the household. You know what I mean? That if the situation happens, and even if the man was nice enough or had enough humility to go to his wife and say, you know what, I'm sorry, which we know is very difficult, on so many levels, mainly because we're not wrong. But if you happen to go to your wife and you say that, right, we don't get anywhere else if her follow-up is, yeah, you sure are sorry.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
the tone says it all.
So now where do we go from here if we try to do it? So if you do have, in this case here, a white man or who is coming and saying, you know what, like I really want, like here's what's going on in our nation. Let's talk about it. It does not help us as a black community or moving the nation forward to go, yeah, I can't believe you did that, and then it just stays there, right? You know what I mean? Right. So I think that like just asking the question, and as we, we'll continue to walk through here in the next few minutes, that you got to be able to help move that needle, because if either side is willing to show the humility, the intelligence, the calm to say, you know what, hey, at least just help me get there, even if I don't understand it or maybe I don't agree yet. Let's at least try to move it. And then let's see what we got. It doesn't help when it just stops right there.
Yeah.
Which that hopefully again this is, when was the last time you talked to, man, I would love to know. This is something, and maybe this is just my experience where I grew up. I have never thought, how should someone approach me when they're talking to me, besides just the general respect, right? Mm-hmm. You give me this general courtesy. So, and this is just my naive, my ignorance. How is a black man in 2021? How should someone? So you and I have never met before. What is the best way to jump into a conversation with you?
Man, definitely. Great question. It's funny. I think Meryl and I were talking about that before, that in the one sense, I would not advise, if you have no relationship at all, please do not just pick up a random black guy and be like, hey, man, I got some questions to ask you.
That won't go over well?
You hit him in the store, you know what I mean? Like, I
gotta ask you something.
Come on, man, that's something on my mind. But you made a great point earlier, Kyle, that depending on where you are, that it's probably, it's probably very, very slim that you have just zero connection to anybody of another race. You know what I mean? Like, it's possible. I guess, you know what I mean? Like, live in our area. So to be able to start, with your commonalities is a great way. You know what I mean? Like, so if you've got, obviously through work, if you've got kids together that are on a team, obviously, the greatest thing, we're together in church. You know what I mean? Like, that you can go to another man of God, are just great ways. And then, but honestly, from there, it's really just taking it for what it is, right? You say, oh my goodness, like, this latest thing just happened. I'm having a conversation with my family.
Yeah.
Let's I really want your insight on it. You know what I mean? Like, so, whatever it is, and it just immediately, I'm not saying it had to be this, but we're talking about all the crazy race stuff, but if it's George Floyd or whatever, right? You know what I mean? Just to be able to have some common ground with somebody and then reach out. So, obviously, even as we're doing this, and Meryl has done such a great job with both you guys, just with this podcast in general, right? You know what I mean? But for us to be able to come together and you say, hey man, like, this is where I want to go. What do you think? Like, hey, of course. Like, man, let's definitely have the conversation.
Yeah. So I want to, as you guys were both saying, the idea of similarity. Mm-hmm. I almost feel like we do a disservice by talking about the celebrating diversity. Mm-hmm. I tried that. So hear me out, okay? So 15 years ago, celebrate diversity. It was coming through the schools like crazy. Every other magazine, every other publication, and so for a while, I was like, you know what? I'm going to start to listen to hip hop and rap music. Okay.
Okay.
And so again.
Okay.
Hey.
Okay.
Because I want to expand my horizons. Okay. I'm a classic rock guy.
Okay. I get that.
And so like, It is painstaking. I've got this on the radio. My older son's like, "What are you doing?" And then I'm just like, "I'm just trying to figure it out."
Does he listen to it?
No.
Okay,
they
neither
weren't
one.
listening to
Okay,
it. No,
neither
they
one.
were,
Okay, then.
yeah.
All right.
And so I stepped back and I said, "We've got this all wrong." That's where I started thinking about we need to celebrate similarity.
Okay.
And we need to respect diversity.
Okay.
We need to respect diversity. And what respect diversity means in my mind is that whole idea of, I don't need you to come and start listening to my music.
Right.
And you don't need, in other words, I don't need to try to change you.
Right.
I just need to respect you.
Right.
All right. Because there are cultural differences based off of upbringing, based off of faith, there's all kinds of different things. It doesn't mean that I have to embrace it and take it on if it's not like you're all of a sudden making me like sardines, and I hate sardines. No, you better start loving sardines because I just don't like them. And so finally I'm like, no, I'm done with the hip hop music. I'm done with, and so
that is so stupid.
but no, that's it. We got to celebrate diversity.
Right. That's right.
It's like, no. Mm-hmm. Right. We need to respect diversity. We need to celebrate similarity. And until that theme comes, because similarity, we're both men, we're both dads, we're both husbands, we're both Christians, we both work, we're both responsible. Holy cow. Oh, you like this music and I like that? Oh, no, we're done. I'm not talking to you anymore.
Right.
That's ridiculous.
And I'll even add to that unfortunately that it becomes more of a personal attack. Yeah. When you have those differences, right? So not only do I not like, well, I actually do like classic rock, but not only do I not
now
like,
we can be friends,
right? You know what I mean? But not only do I not like classic rock, but all of a sudden, now you're an idiot.
Yeah.
I can't believe what kind of person would dare listen to that? And then you go, well, wait a minute now, you know what I mean?
Yeah, now I'm attacked.
Yeah, right. So now and then now we start to get away from the point again, right? Because now it's even more, we've gone to that level, and it becomes even a question of intelligence. You know what I mean? And you're like, there are just some things, like you said, that there's a reason that God gifted those people to be able to make that kind of music.
Absolutely.
And obviously, and there's plenty of people, even not on that, sports, talking heads and that kind of, there's some people that are complete idiots to me, right? But whatever, some people listen, they have a platform. So what I can do is just choose not to listen.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly. Right.
Crazy.
Right.
I can turn it off.
I can turn it off, right? But now to attack them and how I can't believe that and how they that, I'm like, you can not do that.
We laugh for years. My wife likes to go to the theater. Okay. I don't really care much for the theater, but I like some theater.
Okay.
But for years she wanted to go to the Nutcracker.
Oh,
all right. I mean, everybody should go to the Nutcracker, right?
That's right.
Everybody should go.
That's right.
And I'm like, okay, fine. So I go to the Nutcracker. Just shoot me now.
Hey, my man, asleep in 3 minutes.
Oh my gosh.
Asleep in 3 minutes.
It was killing me. Now, so finally what I did is I got through it
That's right.
I am into athletics.
That's right. Fill that love tank, baby.
And so I am starting. So I am starting to look at the athleticism.
Okay.
But not the ballet.
Okay.
Because the whole ballet, and so, but I walked out of there with a total respect for ballet. Okay. But not a liking for it. Not like, oh, I can't wait to go to my next ballet. That doesn't make me good or bad. It just is who I am, right? And I walked away from that like, no, I'm not going to feel bad about it. It's just, and I do respect it completely, especially the work and stuff.
Yeah.
But it's not of my vibe.
That's right. He just doesn't have culture.
I'm not either.
You know what I'm saying? We need to educate.
I went to a play once and I thought this show was over, and I was like,
there it is.
Intermission. I'm like, no.
More. There's more of this.
No,
that's
man,
right.
This is good conversation. Durran, as we get closer to closing the show, one of the things that you had said, and I just want to reiterate because I think it was very powerful, is that always and nevers are dangerous.
Man.
And man, when it comes to the conversation, saying those and referring that to a certain race, I think it's just dangerous. I think it puts us in a dangerous place. Yeah. I know for sure that's something I'm going to take away from this conversation, that grouping, because in today's society, that gang mentality that we seem to have in our society, that you have to group yourself in with somebody else. Yeah. And if you if you can't see eye to eye with someone who's not in that gang, then you're evil, and just you labeling people and always in the nevers, and how dangerous that can really become is something definitely I'm going to take away from this conversation.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Good stuff. So we are going to wrap it up. A thought that comes to my mind always is the old WWJD, what would Jesus do, right?
Yep.
I think that is our truth. That is our standard that we're trying to operate under. And the idea that I try to make Jesus fit my way is another false thinking and teaching on our own parts. But what would he do? What does he do in these situations, right? But any thoughts, final thoughts that you have, challenges that you have from the idea of, here's what I'd like to see us start to do.
A couple things, and once again, Kyle, appreciate the comment there. I would say, in going forward, if you have someone that is of a different race and you've got some similarity, there's plenty of things that are going on in society, and just don't be afraid to bring that up. You know what I mean? Like, if you're a sports guy, probably within the last week, we had the whole thing go down with John Gruden and his emails.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, if you, hey, you know what I mean? What do you think? Because once again, that's another one of those where people go, oh, well, racism, that's way in the past. That's old stuff. And you're like, now, granted, they did drop, bring up some older emails.
Sure. Right.
But, once again, that's within the last 10 years or whatever, right? This is not 1960.
Right.
And then I think that we'd be doing our disservice if we just thought like he's the only one that spoke like that. Right. So, but it just can lead to the discussion, right? Like when you say, hey, where we at on this? I just think that you've got some similarities, whether it be through your work, church, kids, and then just, have a topic, and then, let's just have that conversation.
Yeah. Yeah. Good stuff. So, I have a question for you.
Man,
we were talking about me walking into a sea of black students.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So, and you talked before about being at a career fair, and there's you and another black man that you could recall. So when you walk into any place now, whether it's a grocery store, the workplace, or whatever, do you consciously count, I'll say, white and black, or does it fall off of you now?
No, it's funny you mention that, and I will say quickly that in the one sense, yes, you do register who the other black people are, and especially for this area, which is why in general, like that, you normally see somebody, you give them what's up. You're like, hey, I ain't seen many of you out there. It's kind of like the guys who drive a Jeep, right?
Right,
Like
you give a Jeep wave.
Everybody knows. Like, it's funny. Like you will get mocked for. I don't know why black guys do that, but if you got a Jeep, you say what's up to the other Jeep owner. Hey, come on now.
I heard you.
So there is now the thought of, oh my goodness, there's a riot going to break out. Where am I going to go? Like no. Like I've lived here long enough.
So you don't ever get an anxiety with
No.
Yeah.
So it's not. It's not that serious. But But it is. But for me, it's living here and being able to get used to that. And it's very interesting that when it's flipped, as you experience, just of the anxiety that's there, just because it's unknown. But like you said, in the grocery store set, everybody, they're just, they're focused on getting some Frosted Flakes, right? Like there's nothing really going on, right? Like, so it's like, you don't have to feel that, but that it comes out like that though.
Yeah.
It comes out like that. So.
Excellent stuff.
Yep.
Good
stuff.
Yeah, good conversation.
Yeah.
Our challenge for you guys out there as strong dads is to get out of your box, get out of your neighborhood, have some conversation. I have found myself just from some of our conversations thinking differently. Had several encounters. I always think it's interesting how God works. I've
got
had
good sense of
several
humor. That's
right.
encounters
Absolutely
over
does.
the last 2 weeks
Absolutely
with
does.
homeless people.
Yeah.
I think I probably would have had those opportunities before, but now I was seeing them.
Yeah.
So some of that has changed. I've had several opportunities in tragedy, just this week even, that have come through my door that have made me see things a little bit differently. So I don't know that God brought those to me, other than I think he may have just revealed them to me. They were probably always there.
Yeah.
And the difference here is us becoming aware. And so our challenge is that we become more aware of these conversations and these opportunities and stop hiding from them. Nobody wins. Nobody wins when the prejudice builds into racism.
That's right.
So good, yeah. Go check the rest of our series out. We've had a good compile of a series going on. Again, just what I've said before, actually putting faces to topics, to these issues that men, we just need to have them. And I think it's important to have those conversations sitting around the kitchen table. I talk about all the time. That's just what we do at the firehouse. We sit around. We got to solve all the world's problems somehow, right?
Yeah,
so
exactly
might as well
baby.
sit and do it together.
That's right.
So thanks so much for Casey's Outdoor Solutions and Crimer's Beer House coming alongside of us. Durran, thanks so much for coming on the show, man.
Definitely. Always appreciate it, guys. Anytime.
All right. Thank you.
Awesome. Go out there and meet some strong dads. Hey, this is Kyle Crawford from Strong Dads. Strong Dads podcast would love to thank the Crimer's Beer House for coming alongside of us. The Crimer's Beer House was started in 1982 by the Crimer family, and since that time, they have definitely become a Cincinnati favorite. So if you're looking for an incredible meal in an incredible setting, definitely go down to Route 128 and check out the Crimer's Beer House.